Hello, everybody. This is live coverage of the Loggerhead net, which is an amateur radio net that's on every Sunday evening at 7:30 right here in Southwest Florida, and it goes out from the city of Sanibel. And so what we're doing today is I'm going to provide this live to you, as I have now for 3 weeks. I'm trying to provide these nets online to bring ham radio in front of more people and give you interesting things to look at the same time. On the screen, real quick, those are live views of Sanibel. That's the Sanibel Lighthouse in that little box. See it blinking there. And that's the Sanibel Causeway looking across over to Sanibel from the mainland side. Below that, that's Radar Omega and the live VHF propagation map, which is vhf.dxview.org. And I've also got your space weather information in there. I've got the planes where they're flying around Southwest Florida. And in the upper right corner, I've got a new feature tonight that we're trying out. This is called Uplink loudness meter, and it's a way to analyze the sound coming from the radio. And so we're going to be watching in real time as that happens. We're about 45 seconds away here. I believe WA4WDV is going to be the master of ceremonies tonight. And like I said, the tower for this is in the back parking lot of the Sanibel Emergency Operations Center at Sanibel City Hall. And it broadcasts on 146.790 with an uplink of 146.190, which is a negative 0.6 offset, 136.5 for the PL. But you can listen right here if you'd like. It's on the, I'm not sure what the call letters are on that repeater, so we'll just leave that alone. I'm on repeater book, but anyway, it's a 25-watt repeater with a 100-foot tower, and I hit it here with my 40-foot tower very well. There we go, and we'll leave you to it.
An on-air meeting of the Sanibel Ham Emergency Unit, and that is operating on the W4SBL repeater. Frequency is 146.79 megahertz. Private listening tone 136.5 hertz. To direct the net, all communications should be directed to me, the net control. This repeater is sponsored by the City of Sanibel under the Sanibel Emergency Management Plan and is maintained by the Fort Myers Amateur Radio Club, for whom we are eternally grateful. Repeater is located at City Hall on Sanibel Island. The antenna for the repeater behind City Hall on Sanibel Island. So now I will invite stations to join the net. Initial check-ins called out.
Net control. This is Whiskey 6, Whiskey, 7 Fort Myers.
Net control. This is November 6, Juliet Delta Hotel, John and Matt Lachey.
Control. Kilo 4, Romeo Alpha Bravo, Rick and Fort Myers.
Here is AA4JS, John in East Fort Myers.
Net control, check in KO4 EFS Ian in North Fort Myers.
Okay, let's see, we got Tim, we got John over in Matt Lachey, Rick, John in Cape Coral, and Ian. Who else would like to be initial check-in for the Loggerhead net? Call now.
AA4JS, John in East Fort Myers.
Got you, John. I got you on the list. Anybody else? Initial check-ins for the Loggerhead net. Well, okay. A little bit of a short list. Maybe we got a lot of interest in the Oscar show. Yeah, maybe that's where the bodies are tonight. Well, the subject for tonight is going to be the worldwide single sideband ARRL contest this weekend. So I want to focus on that one, and I know, and I hope that everybody's going to have stories about it. My stories where I worked both days. Conditions were excellent. I just worked 10, 15, and 20, and signals were rolling in from all hours of the day and night. 10 meters. I finally quit at 10 o'clock at night, Saturday night, and it was still open. I couldn't believe it, but I had to give it up. So and take a break. So that was pretty exciting. The weekend we had. I haven't had a chance to count up how many contacts I had, but it's three pages full on the log, so it was a goodly number. The contest stations all over the Caribbean, however you want to say it, they were all there. On all those islands represented. It happens every year. If those people come down, there's no accent, so they come down from the States for good weather and the contesting. So they were all over the place. I ended up just looking for prefixes that I didn't recognize, that I hadn't heard before, taking another break. And then I only had 2 dupes. I was a bad boy and called the same station twice. I thought it was on different bands, but they corrected me, so. Anyway, but that was a very small percentage. A lot of big signals on all 3 of those bands, so maybe some of you guys worked 40, you can report on that. My favorite contact? Yeah, I've got a favorite. The Galapagos Islands. That was my favorite. Galapagos Island. I hadn't worked that one before. I don't know if you guys listened on 20 meters. I better take a break. A K3LR. He was down at the very bottom of the band, and I think I had him at 150.8. It might have been 150.5, but he was really on the fringe there. And I don't know if he was, breaking the rules. AA4JS can probably tell me more about that, but he was right on the edge. He was there all the whole weekend, camped out on that frequency, and he was getting calls. So I guess that was the excitement I had. So with that, we better go ahead and get started because I want to hear your stories. W6 Whiskey Whiskey Whiskey. Tim, WA4WDV. Go ahead.
Well, this is Whiskey 6 Triple Whiskey. Good evening, Alex, and everybody on the net. Yeah, the contest did not disappoint. I read we're at the peak of the cycle, and so this is the best it's going to get, and it definitely didn't disappoint. I got 75 QSOs. Got about 3 new countries, I think. I got Dominica, Ukraine, and then the third one was at Galapagos. I got those Galapagos Islands guys. That was pretty cool. I think they got the DXpedition thing going on. So that was pretty neat. Yeah, and I did hear that K3LR. I mean, if you're holding a frequency and you're calling and you're getting, as long as you're calling, you're holding the frequency. I mean, I don't think there's a rule. As long as you're holding the frequency, and if you stop transmitting and then somebody asks if the frequency's in use and you don't say anything and then, they take it over, then it's theirs. So as long as you're holding it, as far as I know, yeah, I'm about to say something a little controversial. Unlike the Maritime Mobile Net, they get on there and they got this it's a 12-hour net, I guess, and but they don't hold the frequency. There was a guy I was actually worked him. It was the Dominica station. He was on 14.298, and that net usually meets at 14.3, which I don't know why they can't move over 1 KC. I mean, they're just a bunch of entitled brats. But as far as I've heard online and everything, maybe everybody else has got some different whatever. But they were committing. They were maliciously interfering, or was that the term? I hope I got the term right. I think it's called malicious interference with this guy. I mean, they were like saying, "Oh, our net, you're interfering," and and he had the frequency, and they just went on his frequency and started saying you're interfering. And the frequency, he took the frequency, it was clear. So I actually have some recordings of it that I have on my SD card. So kind of a clown show there, to be honest. And let me let the repeater reset. If if ship needs help or whatever, I mean, they can call on any frequency that, if somebody's talking on there and they say they say the magic word that I'm not going to say on here, but they say the magic word, everything stops and they take the emergency traffic, and somebody will go on their cell phone and call the Coast Guard or whatever and get them help. So, anyways, and their little net only runs 12 hours a day, so I guess the other 12 hours nothing bad ever happens. But, anyways, that's enough controversy probably for a while there. Hopefully I didn't get anybody upset. I'm sorry if I did. This is Whiskey 6 Triple Whiskey. Back to net.
W6 Triple Whiskies, WA4 WDV. No, Tim, I don't think you got anybody upset. The one point was that I was trying to make on K3LR, though, was not that he was camping out on the frequency, that he might have been transmitting out of band. He was, 150 point a little bit more, and I don't know if he was bleeding over into the over the bottom of the band, portion. That's what I was getting at. So, He was okay on just camping out. It was the other thing. So maybe somebody has a comment on that or heard him. Another one I liked, I forgot, was an aeronautical mobile over in Mexico, 20,000 feet, and he was a hunter, not an activator, so he was giving people points. But that I like that one, having operated aeronautical mobile in my lifetime. Okay, I think I'll hold anything else for the next go. And congrats, by the way, on 75 QSOs, Tim. And take a note. Let me know second round what bands you were operating on to get all those contacts. I was just on, like I said, 10, 15, and 20, which were superb conditions on all three. Let me know what bands you operated on to get all those. N6 JDH, WA4 WDV. Go ahead, John.
Hey, good evening, Net Control. Good evening, everybody. I did a lot of POTA over the weekend, but I did last night. I got up and worked 40 and 20 on that DX thing, and I was up pretty late, so I went ahead. I did that from home, but I got Croatia, 2 different operators, and I got New Zealand and Cyprus and Guadalupe, and then Aruba, Cuba, and Bonaire. I'd already gotten Bonaire, but I'd also, this has all happened so fast. I mean, it's just like you're in and out, but most of the South American countries and then a few over in Europe, and I guess Cyprus, I don't know, maybe that counts as the African continent. I don't know. It's way over there. I had to look on a map. But I like Whiskey 6 Whiskey Whiskey Whiskey. I was most of the time doing POTA because it seemed like we got kicked down to the 12 meter or 17. But there was a horrendous argument going on with the old Miss net. There was a POTA operator down on 12, and they wanted to hold the net on 12. I'm going to reset for the repeater. Well, they had a argument because the old Miss net wanted the frequency, but the poor POTA gentleman had been on it for about an hour and a half working pile up. But anyway, it was crazy. I stayed away from 10 and 20 all weekend. Anyway, back to net.
Okay. Well, you shouldn't have stayed away. There were lots going on there, but sounds like you had a lot of success. 40 and 20, you said you were on N6 JDU. Well, yeah, the argument, let's call it a discussion about the frequency. Yeah, I've heard that happen before, and most of the time somebody moves very politely, but I know that net is on, I guess, just about every day, that Ole Miss. And when you think of that, you think it's a Mississippi, net, the University of Mississippi, Ole Miss. Yeah, it was all alumni of old. That's not what it is at all. So if you don't know what the Ole Miss net is, you can look it up on Google and see who they really are. But yeah, I missed that discussion. I hate to hear that, but anyway, that is usually cleared up. But like you said, most of the time it clears up with somebody being polite and moving. Yeah, South America and Europe were the big things. Nothing over in the Pacific, you know? Yeah. Out of all that activity, nothing in Hawaii or Alaska or down into New Zealand. And I guess maybe I wasn't up late enough. I don't know, but I didn't hear any of those guys. Australia, maybe you guys did. But there was enough there to feed on everything else. I've worked every station I called, so I can't complain. Barefoot, I guess most guys did because conditions were such that you could do that. But I was real happy with the condition and being able to operate just with the 100 watts on the radio, and everybody answered every time. Okay, great. We're moving on, John. In fact, that's going to be Rick. I wonder if he surrendered the key to the microphone this weekend. K4RAB, WA4WDV. Go ahead.
K4RAB, in a word, no, I didn't. In fact, I wasn't even on this weekend. And from the sound of things, I'm kind of glad. I hate to get in arguments. It's ham radio. If it's not fun, I don't want to be doing it. So, for the most part, with the exception of areas and stuff like that, which is public service. But, yeah, I wasn't on this weekend. Like I said, a couple of weeks ago, I was on the CW section. I think I got over 100 Qs, but we worked some good DX2. I worked Dominica as well. Also worked I think I worked a couple of the Chile and Brazil and Argentina, and also worked Kenya. So I got a few good DX contacts. So anyway, but no, not this weekend. I guess I'm not trying to be a snob, but ever since I started doing this stuff in CW, that seems to be what I want to do. So anyway, so back to net, K4REB.
4REB, WA4WDV. Yeah, everybody's got their own thing that they're interested in. Rick, can't fault you for that, especially CW. I can't last that long on CW. I can't. Like a single sideband, the voice here was enough. I did it in segments, and I could maybe last an hour and a half, 2 hours. Then I was ready to go somewhere else or come back later in the day. But CW, I can't last even that long. I get a headache. Yeah, so I got a hats off to you on being in the CW category and for our net here, and being our representative to the world of CW, and for being able to stay in those contests and contribute so much time to it. Appreciate that for sure. Okay, now AA4JS, I'm coming over to you, and one of the things that we want for the net tonight is we want a report, but we want the how do you feel report, John. AA4JS, WA4WDV, go ahead.
Well, okay, to answer that, I'm feeling pretty decent, all things considered. Moving along and going one day at a time, and that's kind of the way it goes. Yeah, I certainly got on and played the contest this weekend, and you were talking about the different things you got. I did one band. I did the 10-meter band the entire time, and just absolutely had a blast. Galapagos, Madeira, Cape Verde, Papua New Guinea, Bonaire, Aruba. Just had a blast working those, and all on 10 meters. I just one right after the other, man. It was so much fun, and it's a lot of fun to get in there and do that. And you know, a lot of these guys sounded really well. You know, had great signals. Of course, most of them were saying 1K. You know, here I'm doing 100, and these guys are doing 1K. But still, had a great time, and you know, a lot of places that I haven't worked in a long time. So it was a lot of fun. I really enjoyed it. So that's most of it yesterday. I had some other stuff going on today, so I did most of it yesterday, and but all of it was 10 meter because it was just so good. Anyway, back to you from AA4JS.
AA4JS, WA4WDV. Yeah, I was in the same category as you, about 10 meters. I think I spent about 85% on 10 meters, and then I was too curious. I had to go down to the other bands for a while and check. And some of the stations I worked were, I worked them on 10 meters and also on 15, some of those Caribbean contest stations. So I was just down there, just looking around, seeing what the propagation was like on the other bands. But man, it was like a drawing you in on 10 meters. It sucker you in. You couldn't believe it. It was too good to be true, and conditions were so great, you know, with low power and blah, blah, blah. So anyway, I was right in there with you. And all those places you mentioned, at Cape Verde and some of those other Bonaire, all these islands, yeah, I had those too. So, well, glad that you're feeling good. You're on the uptick, and we'll be keeping track of you, John. So keep up the good work on the health side of things. I don't know when you plan on going back to the job site, but I don't know if you want to talk about that. But we're just glad that you're able to spend more time on the radio to occupy your days. Okay, here we go, Ian. KO4EFS, thank you for all the good space conditions. WA4WDV.
KO4EFS. Yeah, I'm working on my system here because the issue we have is when I talk, you can't hear me on YouTube. So what I've done is I've taken a second radio and put it on the input frequency and I'm mixing it in with the audio coming out of the main radio. So they're actually listening to me on a different radio than they're listening to the rest of you. So it's pretty cool. It's going out tonight. I got a couple of views of Sanibel on there, and I got a new audio analyzer I'm kind of showing off tonight. It's kind of neat. And so there you go. We'll see how that goes. I may just keep this one. It takes up a little more room, but it gives you a lot more tools to analyze. Let's see, as far as whatever, you know, they got an observatory down there in East Naples out in the Glades. And on Saturday nights from 6 to midnight, they let people come out for free and just hang out and look through the telescopes. And got a buddy of mine, we're going to go do it. So I just wanted to mention that. I don't have the info right in front of me, but I'm sure if you Google it, it's Saturday. It's one night a week, Saturday nights. And a bit of trivia. Did you know that March has more auroras than any other month of the year? So we're coming into the busiest month of the year for Aurora Borealis, and we're peaking out right now. Half the sun is already past peak, and the other half's reaching peak. So we're basically at the top of the solar cycle, and we do have a CME coming in the next few days that could spark some minor storms, but nothing we'll see down here. That's what I got. I've been doing a lot with 2-meter call, and I'll talk about that next round. KO4EFS.
KO4EFS, WA4WDV. Yeah, okay, and watch out for those the snakes down there in the glades and the alligators. Yeah, they're down there. The space equipment that you heard Mike on Sanibel here talking about last couple of weeks, he said that arrived this week, so he's going to get busy and set that up and see if he can get his ISS station working, but that did arrive. I was hoping you'd be on here tonight. Maybe just running late to tell us about it. And that coincides with your report on the storms with what Tim was saying at the top of the show. The Aurora Borealis, I'll have to tell my son up in Alaska to keep his eyes open for extra Borealises this week, although they probably know that. They'd probably carry that in a local paper, right? Borealis reports in the Anchorage Times, yeah. Okay, Ian, very good. I think what I got from you for the... Oh, I'll have to go in after the net here. I'll go in and check your YouTube page and see what you got on here right now that you're talking about. Okay, so let me pause with that and see if there's any late check-ins for the Loggerhead net. If you're a late check-in, don't be bashful. Call now. Wow, bashful or lurking, one of the two, huh? W6, whiskey with... Start the second round. Go ahead.
Oh, this is Whiskey 6 Triple Whiskey. Let's see here. So I operated on 10, 15, and 20, and I think I've probably got about the same number of contacts on all of them, maybe a little more on 20, though. But I operated all three, got a good amount on each band. And then I also, about the whole, the W3LH or whatever the heck it was, drawing a blank on the call, the station with that, yeah, I think that's W3LR. They appeared to be fully in band. They appeared to be fully within the 150 to, the range. So I didn't notice that they were out of band, and I was, a waterfall, and it looked fine to me. I did notice one guy was out of band, though. He was 1 KC out of band, and he was complaining to a station that was on top of him, but he was out of band, so that was interesting. And yeah, the whole frequency fighting thing. I'm so worked up about the whole thing because I was a victim of it one time. I was on 14. What is it? 14. Just like 3 kC up from the slow scan TV. 14. Is it 2.3? No, because 2.25 is. Oh, 230. So I was on 14.233, and these slow scan TV guys, I'm doing a POET activation. I've been there an hour or something. And these guys come along, and they're like, oh, you're on our slow scan TV frequency, and I wasn't. I was 3 kC up. They could have operated, but they decided, I don't know, that they wanted to have a talking frequency and maybe a slow scan TV frequency. But anyways, they got the band plan and stuff, but the band plan is just the band plan. It's not the official, it's not the band chart, that's actually the rules. But, you got some of these things like, if you got a net or something, just move up a couple kilohertz. Like, people will find you. It's not difficult. You don't need to kick people off frequencies. And what happened in the case of slow scan TV is they just came on top of me. They just hijacked the frequency. They created so much interference that I wasn't able to hear anybody. And so I had to go somewhere else. So it was just, and they were just aggressive. And yeah, I think I started recording some period of time into it. Yeah, they were creating interference. So I don't care for for people that think they own the airwaves. I mean, if you wanna own a frequency, go get a broadcast license. That's how I feel about it. This is ham radio. It's not broadcast, so you don't get to own a frequency. So too bad, so sad. It's the rules. So and everybody's got an equal right to the frequencies, unless it's truly emergency traffic. If it's truly emergency traffic, different story. Obviously, emergency is priority, but everybody's coming on here to do their POET activations or whatever. They want to rag chew, whatever they want to do. They get the frequency. They get the frequency, and you go over, a few kilohertz, and people will find your net. So, and let's see the other thing. The nets on the work band. I don't know what to think of that. I'm a little bit. You can't contest on there, but you can have nets on there. I always thought that was kind of strange. And they like these guys, they can't go over 3 kc if there's a guy there. It's like they have no plan. Like what happens if somebody's on your frequency? It's like there's no alternate frequency. Like they need to have a plan, and it's just So I don't know how these people operate. You have no plan. Like I guess the world ends if somebody's on your frequency, and you can't, and you just try to hijack it. That's the issue too. Guys, they think they can just go on there and create interference and harass people that happen to be on their frequency, and they didn't know anything about it. It's just ridiculous. So I think some of these people need to get a life and stop thinking they're more important than they are. Anyways, this is Whiskey 6 Triple Whiskey. Did I hit all the points, Alex? Back to you.
Yeah, Whiskey 6 Mini Whiskeys, WA4WDV. Yeah, you hit all the points and a few more. Yeah, okay, you gave me the band you were on. You were on the same ones as I was. But as far as all these frequency, using the same frequency, that's something, usually somebody ends up being polite and moves, or these nets have been using those same frequencies for years, and they expect people to look there for them, so that's why they get a little bit hot under the collar and expect somebody else to move off. Anyway, it seems to all work out in the end, but I can't think of anything else to add to your analysis of it, Tim. And I know it's a subject, but I haven't myself run into it too much. Maybe some of the others have a comment or two. We got some old timers on here that could talk about that. So appreciate your comments. Keep your ears open, right? For that kind of. Oh, and thanks for letting me know about the K3LR in the bottom of the band there. Okay, thank you for that. So, okay, but I didn't hear the other one that you mentioned. I wonder if it was a foreign station that was doing that. Definitely out of band. If that was a DX station, maybe you know about that. Tim, you can remember the call. So thanks for answering that. I feel better now knowing that he was okay. N6, JDH, John, WA4WDV. Go ahead.
Yeah, thank you, Net. I sort of like tonight because it's sort of explaining some of the, proper etiquette, I guess you could say. But it just seemed like yesterday the one band, they weren't, the one net was not moving. They were going to push the one POTA operator off no matter how, they didn't care how long he was there. And they did use a few choice words during it. I probably also have it recorded because I believe both of my radios here on the shack are set up where it cycles through the SDHC card. But anyway, with that, back to Net. I'm just going to listen on the side.
Okay, well, that was a good learning experience for you, John, if you heard that same conversation, the net versus POTA. Again, you won't hear that too often. I haven't heard it too often, but that sounded like an ugly one. Unfortunate. But I think that the POTA could have moved over for the net, in my humble opinion, even if he was there first. I would have given net priority if it would have been me. But on we go. K4RAB, WA4WDV, old timer. What do you think about that? Go ahead.
This is K4RAB. Yeah, well, I've seen it a little bit. I mean, some people just insist upon being a word I won't use here on the radio, but that seems to be life. I mean, it's a shame, but it's human nature. Yeah, as you talk about CW for long periods of time, well, I have something called decoders. FLDG does a quite good job of it. And I've got a decoder here on the Kenwood too, which does a very good job, and I've got one on the the KX3, which also is a pretty good decoder. But yeah, without those, I'd be lost for long periods of time. But yeah, I just haven't. Yeah, it could get crazy on CW too. But well, it's like I said, it's just part of the game. You get a little bit of radio road rage sometimes, but that's like I said, it's life when you get through it. I hate seeing them move POTA off a frequency, but I've got a net I meet on Thursday night. Sometimes we have the same issue, but we learn to get along with the guys that come on the frequency before us, and so we talk back and forth, and there's no problem. So anyway, and I guess that's it for me. So I'll hang out and listen to what the rest is going on. Break in if there's anything I want to say. Back to you, K4RAB.
RAB, I got a question for you, WA4WDV here. Well, first of all, my bottom line on that discussion of whose frequency is it, the bottom line is, quote unquote, it's only a hobby. That's what it should boil down to. Somebody should say, hey, it's only a hobby, you know. So that's what Ian would have said. But my question for you, Rick, was on a decoder program. There was one written up in QR in a magazine, ARRL magazine, a few months back. Is it M70? I think it comes out of Germany, and they reviewed it and thought that was a great decoder program. Did you read up on that? Go ahead.
I may have seen that M70, and there's another one that'll do multiple ones at the same time. And so I'm just waiting for somebody to come out with an AI algorithm that will decode it, and we'll be able to pick through all of the noise and interference. But it's fine, and that's funny. I've got a decoder on the radio, and I use FL Digi. And you know, to be honest with you, some of the times those things will miss, and I'll hear the real letters. So when I see something on the screen, I always like to verify it orally just to make sure it's right. But if I can hear it, that's even better. So the decoder in the head starts working better as you get practice, and that's the real name of the game. It's just getting the practice. The idea of somebody continuously decoding it is just a myth. So, at least for me. Now, I know there's some CW guys out there that are a lot better than I am at it and can do that continuously. So anyway, it's still a matter of practice. So back to you, K4RAB.
RAB, WA4WDB. Okay, thanks for those comments. I don't know if that's the right name of that program. It was in QRZ magazine a while back. Anyway, I was just doing that from memory. Yeah, I just wondered, you know, sometimes if you get, the band is a little bit crowded, you know, and you got a lot of signals on there, you know, how does your decoder stay on the one that you want to listen to, or how can you break it out when there's several stations all right around there, you know, pile up type of thing. And yeah, so you fill in the blanks with your own decoder in your head. All right, well, I won't bug you about bug. That's a good one for a CW guy, right? I won't stay on that topic anymore because I want to hear from John. Thanks, Rick, for your words of wisdom there. AA4JS, what do you got for words of wisdom? WA4WDV, go ahead.
Okay, well, I may have a little bit of a different outlook on things. You know, I try to respect these people that do their regular daily things. You know, because most of them are things that are done every day. They're done every day in the same frequency. And, you know, you get to know them over the years. And I'll tell you, I'm not a big one to jump in on those nets, but still, there's nothing wrong with with being nice and giving them, when it's time to do their net on the frequencies that they do every day, and they ask you to do so, I've got no problem giving them with that, and and have. It's not been too long ago. I was out on a POTA and doing a bunch of things, and had a guy come on and say, "Hey, I'm the guy for the such and such net, and we start at such and such, and try to use this frequency. If you don't mind, could you give us that in 10 or 15 minutes?" And I said, "Sure. Why not?" You got to get along with people. Granted, you're going to talk to some people on ham radio frequencies that there's no being nice. They have to, they use the language and get the and usually other than get into it with the guy, I'll just go on too. There's plenty of place on here to look for other people and and have fun. I don't want to be in with the one guy that's well, the word I want to use, but I won't. Anyway, that's enough for me. So back to you, AA4JS.
4JS, WA4, WDV. You don't want to be an idiot, right? Yeah. A bad guy. I wonder how much. Now, I didn't hear any of that happening with as many stations, that were all over on top of each other on this weekend activity. I didn't hear anybody, arguing or complaining about somebody. I was here first. You think that might have come up, but it didn't. That I never heard it anyway. But I agree with everything you said. And I'll add to that a lot of these nets that have been there for years, their frequencies are actually, they put them on the websites, on their websites, and that kind of makes it known to everybody what frequency they like to use, the same frequency. So I think that's part of the thing too. Yeah, I agree with everything you said there. I move off if a net comes on there and needs a frequency. But they also, these guys that run the nets, they usually come on even up to 30 minutes before the net starts. They get on there and they're chatting and getting things and seeing who's there and blah blah blah. So they actually have plenty of time to clear the frequency, and if it's available, they get on there and hold that frequency, or they can ask for it, be able to use it. They got plenty of time to do that. They don't have to get on there at net time and tell somebody to get off, it's time for our net type of thing. They could ease into that or whatever. Like they come on early, clear the way. Okay, we covered that pretty well. So we're going to hear about that from KO4EFS, the words of wisdom from Ian at WA4WDV. Go ahead, Ian.
All right, KO4EFS. Yeah, just two things I wanted to mention. My hex is laying in the yard. I'm restringing the 12 meter, waiting for Joseph to come back down and help me with it. So once we get that go back up, then I'll be doing that, and I'm wanting to get that done because we're right in the peak of the cycle right now. I just took delivery of my Baofeng UV5. I don't know what is it, UV5 RP Pro GPS, whatever. It's the brand new one that just came out. It's got GPS and everything, big beautiful color screen and everything, 10 watts. I've been checking it out. I got on the bench right now, and really nice radio. It kind of looks like the UV5R, but it's got the big screen, and it's got a much hardier build. It's basically built like that big one I have, that UV25, but it's kind of like they wanted to make it look like and be almost as small as the UV5R. It's a little bigger. It's beefier. What a great radio. Transmits on 3 bands, receives on 6, AM, FM on the receive side. It does a lot of really cool stuff, so I'm going to be doing a video in the next week or so on it, so watch for that. It's so far I like it. I really do. Very. The only other thing is I wanted to talk about, I haven't been doing any HF, so what I've been doing is VHF. I keep up on one of my little screens here right over my radios that I usually use for like a logbook or something. I've got on a screen that has the VHF propagation map, and the moment I see it light up, I start calling out on the 5.2. And I have had really good luck. I've talked to Largo, 2 or 3 different people in Largo, north of Tampa. I've been getting anywhere from 70 to 110 miles when the tropo starts around the tropospheric ducting. And so I've been playing with that since I don't have HF right this minute. I've just been using 2-meter call, and I've been finding people on it. People traveling on the highway, people out there. I just go, CQ on frequency listening, anybody on 2-meter call, and they come back. I don't know, it's been kind of fun. I've been logging them in my logbook, and I've been having a lot of fun with that. I'm up about 40 feet with a really nice GP9 or whatever it is up there, I don't know, nice antenna, and it's up pretty high, so I'm doing real good with it. So that's what I've been doing with ham radio, along with making videos. I'm also broadcasting 7 or 8 different nets now every week, as many as 10 a week, including this one and the Simplex net on Thursday night as well. I've done everything from the Eagle net in Tampa to the Sunshine net in Charlotte County. I've been doing them all. I'm trying to get young people to see ham radio. I'm trying to get ham radio out there on a medium. Break for time. I'm trying to get ham radio on a medium out there that people will see it, and the youth will see it and want to be interested. What the hell is that, So that's what I got to say about that. And finally, as far as the nasty people, whatever, there's nothing that can be done about bad language. It's basically, it is what it is. Especially with that new executive order, there is no decency standard anymore on radio. At all, that is going to be enforced, will be enforced, or could be enforced. So what we have to do is just turn the dial and smile or go whatever. I do agree with you guys. Nets that are established, that have been there for a long time, should be handled properly, but they should get priority. I do agree with that 100%. POTA can move. It's easy. It takes 2 seconds to south spot. No big deal. And we got to work with each other out here. And established nets are established nets, and that's how I feel about it. It's good talking there, buddy. KO4 EFS.
Wow, you gave me a lot of stuff there. I don't know if I can identify it all, John, or Ian. Yeah, John was in there too before. Anyway, the last thing you said was about the language. Now you're in the professional radio business. An executive order that was signed. Are you talking about commercial radio? The language on commercial radio? Surely you're not. Go ahead.
If you interpret it properly, yes, absolutely. But there's caveats to that as well. Commercial radio is paid radio, and therefore there is more rules on that. So there is still a decency standard on broadcast radio for profit. But any hope that people had of any kind of enforcement, because I don't know if you guys know, there really hasn't been any in 15 years. They post everything they do, and they haven't scolded anybody for a bad word in a very long time. So, they're not going to do anything about it. And now with this new executive order, which covers radio, television, everything, it covers everything. There is still a broadcast decency standard, but there's not a decency standard for ham radio anymore. It is what it is. Most people like us, we know what to say and how to be nice. Hey, I got 7.2 up right now. I love listening to those idiots over there. If I don't like it, I turn the dial and smile. That's all there is to it. KO4 EFS.
Turn the dial and smile. I like that one. Okay, yeah. I agree with all of that. But, I was going to ask you another question, but I've asked you so many questions here. But first of all, I'll be looking for that review on that 5B, 5R. Be anxious to see that. So we'll look forward to that one. But can I just ask you one more question, and I'll leave you alone, Ian? You said the 2-meter propagation. how does that work out? Is there a time of day that changes, between daylight and darkness, like on the HF bands? What happens on the world of 2-meter frequencies, day and night and so on? Go ahead.
No, it's affected by a number of different phenomenon, just like everything else. VHF's not affected near as much by the ionosphere because it doesn't generally go to the ionosphere. It runs along the ground. And as you guys know, once you're beyond line of sight, VHF generally falls off pretty quick. And that goes for 92.5 FM or 144 megahertz ham radio. And so what the big difference is, and where people start talking about atmospherics, is tropospheric ducting. I'm going to actually have that on our new website that I just built this weekend for our new Freedom Net. But basically, there becomes thermal layers in the atmosphere, and radio signals that are being transmitted out laterally across the ground will slightly go up, as well as some of them go slightly down. And as they go up, they hit that thermal layer and they bounce back down. Generally speaking, tropo is 80 to 120 miles. And so, like that Maxima station in St. Petersburg, when tropo starts running mostly south like it does, it knocks their signal over the top of ours and pushes us down. And all you hear north of Colonial is Spanish music. And it pushes our signal past the south part of the state, and it starts washing out the 92.5 station down on Key West. So it's, it's tropospheric ducting. If you put it in Google, there's a guy that's got a pretty cool tropospheric ducting forecast that you can look at. KO4EFS.
KO4EFS, WA4WDV. Yeah, we've talked about tropoducting on this net before because of those times that we've had other stations that we could hear on here. For a while with Fort Lauderdale, and now this latest one with Fort Walton Beach. So those are examples for us of tropospheric ducting. So, yeah, that's an interesting topic, and thanks for comments on that. And I think that others would enjoy hearing about how that differs from HF propagation. Excellent. Okay, I'm going to check your YouTube page here. I'm just looking at the notes of all the things you said. All right. Thanks, Ian. I guess we're going to have one more check here. I was hoping there'd be somebody lurking. Anybody lurking, call now.
Check.
Go ahead, check.
This is Whiskey 6 Triple Whiskey. I just wanted to clarify something. I am not, excuse me, I am not opposed to a net going on a frequency and asking for it. And then, I've had it happen where a net says, hey, we're going to be on here in a bit. Could you move? And yeah, I'll move. And I'm not opposed to that. What I'm opposed to is when the station that's on the frequency says no, and then the net controller proceeds to create harmful interference on that frequency. You can say, you could say that the station that was there first is wrong for not moving, but, it's pretty black and white. You can't cause interference. So the net controller is wrong, too. And as far as the rules go, the FCC rules, only the net controller is wrong. The other station technically doesn't have to move, although, in ham radio, we like to be gentlemen, and we're courteous. And I think the situation over this past weekend that I witnessed was, obviously on contest weekends, every square inch of the band or every hertz of the band is occupied. So, if a station's on, 14.298 and everything is occupied and ask him to move, well, there might not be anywhere to move. So that's kind of an issue too. And if he's got a big pile up, that might be a hard sell. So there's something to think about there. And, I'm not either, maybe the station should have moved. I'm not, but my big problem is when they say no, then the net controller proceeds to act like a child and interfere and break FCC rules. I'm not cool with that. So but I'm also not, if it's like, a situation where they can easily move, then they should move too. So I think it's you could be a jerk either way. So, I mean, if you can move for a net for sure. So, yeah, I'm not opposed to nets on HF or anything. I'm just opposed to people when someone says no, whether the person saying no is right or wrong, they think they're allowed to violate rules and interfere. So that's my take on it. I got nothing against anybody. I just got something against people that think they can interfere with people. Anyways, so anybody that's following all the rules, I don't have anything against them. This is Whiskey 6 Triple Whiskey, back to net.
T6 Triple Whiskey WA4 WDV. Okay, well, yeah, I missed your point, Turner. I had it looking at the wrong side of the mirror there. Yeah, where the net control sends out flack. Yeah, that's a no-no. And I don't know what net control would ever want to do that if they've been in net control for any length of time and like doing that job. So. Yeah, I don't know if I've ever heard that from the net control side, Tim. But apparently you've heard that. And yeah, I agree with you. Neither side should be doing that. And net control causing interference, boy, that's way out there. I hadn't heard of that one. Okay, I guess we solved that issue. So let me say close the net up for this week, and. Maybe some of you already watched in the Oscars and all the liberal comments that are going to be coming out of those people that get up at the microphone and blast Trump. They got something to blast him about this week, don't they? Oh, anyway, we'll see you next week. Have a good one. WA4 WDV. Welcome to the frequency if you need to use it. 73.
For EFS comment, I just wanted to let everybody know I got that tropospheric information on my YouTube page under Community tab. I just posted it as a community post, and it's got the link to the current forecast and also the information on it and everything. KO4 EFS, have a good night, everybody. 7-3.
Okay, thanks, Ian. Community tab. Gotcha. Very good. Thank you.